Morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Morning Hundoke. Today we have Reverend Takaaki Ito presenting on this Thursday, the 16th of July 2026, or the 3rd of June in the 14th year of Chongaguk, and it's the first day of our 49th condition together. So thank you all for coming, and let's begin with a bow to our true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind, Chanti Champuninge. Kyombay. Paro. And let's recite our family pledge, both in Korean and English.
가전맨세 1. 전국 주인 우리 가족은 참사랑을 중심하고 본연 땅을 찾아 본연의 창조 이사인 지산천국과 전산천국을 창건할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 1. Our family, the owner of Chongguk, pledges to seek our original homeland and build the kingdom of God on earth and in heaven, the original ideal of creation, by centering on true love.
Thank you, and I'd like to share Hyojong Cosmic Blessing Ceremony prayer that was given on the 1st of February 2020. Heavenly Parent, you have endured and waited so long. As there are now blessed couples that have been inducted as Chombo, it means there are blessed families that have completed the Chombo requirements, whom you can embrace and govern directly. As true parents, we offer you our deepest gratitude and all glory for your divine protection that will allow the birth of many more blessed families that can stand strong and show an example in front of their nation and world as Chong-il-guk citizens. Heavenly Parent, through this holy wine ceremony conducted in unity with true parents, your children who have fulfilled their responsibilities as blessed families will be able to join the ranks of filial children and loyal patriots, children you can be proud of and embrace both on earth and in the eternal spiritual realm beyond. Thank you for permitting and giving your children this opportunity. Heavenly Parent, thank you for opening the way that will allow your children to move beyond their family and tribe and to advance to the world. They are the Chong-il-guk Chombo citizens. Heavenly Parent, please remember your children of whom you are proud. May you guide and protect all the blessed families inducted as Chombo so that they may all advance toward and soon bring about the day when you can realize throughout the world your dream and hope, which you have yearned to realize for so long. This will be the day on which you can say, everything has been accomplished, it is all fulfilled. Thank you, I pray and proclaim all these things in true parents' name, Arju. Thank you, and before we welcome up Reverend Takaaki, I'd like to share this praise song, so please enjoy.
통일가 선배 식구님들 그리고 신일본을 비롯한 전 세계
members around the world,
통일가의 이러한 기반을 만드시기까지
in order to set this foundation, thank you for all of your hard
저희들
work.
또한 그 길을 이어받아
We will inherit
변치
that
않는
path, and with unchanging
서로
heart,
부모님을 모시며
we will attend your parents and
나아가겠습니다.
move forward.
그러한 감사의 마음을
With that heart of
담아
gratitude,
찬양 올리겠습니다.
I would like to offer this praise.
나 태어나 이 강산에 통일 식구 되어 꽃 피고 식구님 여러분 감사합니다.
Thank you, and let's welcome up Reverend Takaaki as he shares this morning. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Let me try to share my screen. Hello.
Yeah, I could hear you. I know it looks like you're not muted, but can hear you.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, could hear you before. Yes, but yes, can hear you now and before, but now there's an echo because now you got two mics on.
Oh, sorry. Is it better now?
So, yeah, it seems okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hey, good morning, everyone. Sorry for the technical issues. I was going to share through Father's speech, a nation and world of peace sought by God and humanity, given on October 29, 2001. This is based on True Father's speech on the Korea rally for the nation of cosmic peace and unity at the Hotel Rivera Yusong, Daejeon in Korea. Respected leaders, ladies and gentlemen, at this transitional point in human history, we have gathered as leaders from around the world who are concerned about the unification of Korea and world peace. The tragedies that took place in New York, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania on September 11 truly shocked the entire world. Along with our concerns over peace and safety, we have come to reflect upon fundamental and serious questions of modern civilization and the future of humanity. The Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace and the World Association of Non-Governmental Organizations held a timely and significant conference in New York on October 19 to 22nd. These two organizations, both of which I founded, brought together more than 400 participants from 101 countries. The participants included current and former heads of state, top leaders of major religions, including Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and Confucianism, and representatives of academia and non-governmental organizations. The participants debated seriously on how to find peaceful solutions to today's crisis. Our homeland, the Korean Peninsula, remains a divided country and a troubled spot that, along with the Middle East, attracts the world's attention. In my opening address at the New York conference, I communicated my vision for lasting and fundamental peace. Again, I would like to share my view with you leaders assembled here today. The title of my address is The Nation and World of Peace Sought by God and Humanity. Throughout history, people have continuously aspired to a world of peace, but we have never realized that dream. Consider the end of the Cold War, which concluded a time of fierce political and military conflicts and struggles. Many people expected that the long-awaited era of peace and stability would arrive, supported by our highly developed science and technology. Nonetheless, we came to realize that the seed of conflict, hatred, and selfish desire embedded deeply within each of us is still alive and is creating ever more serious disasters in new shapes and forms. Violence against innocent people is certainly an inhumane criminal act and it must be stopped. However, what can eradicate our inner conflicts and struggles and resolve fundamental human problems at their root? Where was the seed of hatred, conflict, and struggle sown, and how did it come to be rooted so deeply within us? That seed was planted in the family of our first ancestors, Adam and Eve. The conflicts and struggles that resulted have continued from generation to generation until the present time. Then how can we resolve those conflicts and realize peace on earth? Historically, people have attempted to overcome conflicts and pursue peace through economic, political, diplomatic, and military means. However, such methods obviously do not provide fundamental solutions as we are still struggling with many unresolved problems. There is only one fundamental way to resolve these issues. It is clear and simple. We must restore the family that our first ancestors lost. That is the ideal family with God at its center, the family that has achieved perfection in true love, both vertically and horizontally. God exists as the original being of true love and the invisible true parent of humankind. Nonetheless, love cannot exist alone. It exists in relationships, and it bears fruit only through relationships. That is why God created us as His children, through whom He would seek to realize true love. God's first blessing to human beings to be fruitful, Genesis 1:28, called God's children to become the object partners of his true love by becoming true persons. When we love someone, we want our object partner to be better than ourselves. Thus, God, as our loving parent, wants his children to be better than he is. That is why God repeatedly invests himself in human beings, his object partners of love. He forgets about what he has already given while constantly desiring to give infinitely more and more love. This is so because love has its origin in the desire to live eternally for the sake of others. God then bestowed the second blessing to multiply, Genesis 1:28. Our first ancestors were to have grown to maturity as the children of God. After reaching maturity and becoming one in heart with God, they were to be blessed as true husband and wife. Then they were to become substantial true parents to their children, inheriting and passing on true love, true life, and true lineage from God. God's ideal of creation was to perfect true love both vertically and horizontally, beginning in the first family of our common ancestors. Since God's love is absolute, unique, unchanging, and eternal, that family also was to have been the absolute, unique, unchanging, and eternal family centering on true love. Human beings were to be the substantial embodiments of love, totally united with God in heart and obtaining perfect freedom, happiness, and realization of all ideals. Then they would have become the lords of true love, whom all beings in the universe would have loved and welcomed. This was God's third blessing, Genesis 1:28. This is a blessing to create a living environment in which we experience joy and happiness, having dominion over all of creation. This includes the care and preservation of the world's ecological balance as true stewards of the creation. Tragically, our first ancestors could not inherit the three blessings of God and establish a family of true love. That means they did not become true individuals, true spouses, true parents, and true laws centered on true love. Because they disobeyed God, he expelled them from the Garden of Eden. As fallen people, they became false spouses to each other with false love that had nothing to do with God's blessings. They gave birth to children, and those children multiplied to populate the world of today. Since the fall occurred at the very beginning of human history, people have not been born on the foundation of true love in attendance to God. Instead, we have lived in a state of conflict, struggling between our minds and bodies. This conflict manifested in a tragedy of hatred and murder between two brothers, Cain and Abel, in the first family. This was a miserable reality in that family once they departed from God. A family built on human relationships alone cannot become a family of the original idea of creation. An ideal family must connect to God vertically and have a true person as its axis. Only under the true love of true parents and among siblings who have and share a common axis can a family enjoy relationships of ultimate harmony and peace. True love is experienced within an ideal family that bears good fruit. The family is the original and best school of love. Neither power nor knowledge can create true love. Honorable leaders, what do you feel when you look at the reality of our society and the youth in our contemporary world? Do you feel hope for a bright future? I believe that you must agonize over the increasing rates of crime, violence, drug abuse, immorality, corruption, teen pregnancy, and so forth. These arise out of a confusion of values and portend greater darkness enveloping our youth. How did we arrive at this point? Better school systems and social improvements might have delayed the onset of these problems, but would not address their fundamental cause, which is the breakdown and loss of our families. This breakdown is a product of the time we are living in, a time when humankind is harvesting the fruit sown when we lost the first family of true love. It was that family's failure to realize true love that has led to phenomena associated with family breakdown, including individual breakdown, as well as countless problems on the national and worldwide levels. A particular concern is the emotional instability of youth, which leads to diminishing life goals, spiritual aimlessness, and unhealthy, self-destructive lifestyles. World leaders who are concerned about the future have to be very serious in order to solve the real problems of young people avoiding marriage, rampant divorce, and so forth, trends that destroy the fundamental foundation of families. Having lost the first and second blessings, humankind does not understand the importance of completing one's individual growth, which is a foundation for sacred and eternal conjugal love. Most of our young people are not aware of the importance of keeping purity before marriage and reaching personal maturity through true love. This is why they do not understand the value of true love, which is the fundamental root of joy, happiness, and all ideals. The tendency to make light of trust and fidelity between husband and wife and to ignore the sacredness of marriage is an internal cause of indescribable disasters and tragedies for humankind. True love has been driven out by the so-called free love culture, in which people seek only sexual release as a cardinal yet momentary pleasure. The rapid spread of HIV/AIDS and sexually transmitted diseases threatens the very existence of the human race. It is said that there is no safety zone against the AIDS virus. A greater terror than the terrorism from which the entire world has been trembling is before us. Once contracted, its victims must give up their dreams for happiness, ideals, and life itself. Unless we resolve this catastrophe plaguing our planet, how can we consider ourselves leaders? Nor have we taken responsibility for the third blessing endowed by God, to have dominion over the creation. This requires that we take care of all creatures with true love. What will happen if the natural world were to rebel against the abuse and misuse it suffers at the hands of human beings who lord over it? Are not those symptoms beginning to appear? Before the natural world punishes our intolerable arrogance, we have to stand before nature in true love as people of restored integrity. Respected leaders, in order to examine today's problem at a more fundamental level, I would like to consider the relationship between the true I and the true we in the context of God's idea of creation. As a result of the fall, human beings did not achieve the position of the true I. For this reason, God has never been able to use the word we. That is to say, that God has never been able to stand within the realm of the consciousness of his ideal of creation and establish a relationship that would allow him to say, "This is my creation," or "This is my child." So our present concept of I has no relationship with the original idea of God's creation, and it is for this reason that we have to deny ourselves absolutely. God has conducted his restoration providence so that he could establish true men and true women, that is, his sons and daughters, whom he could freely include within his concept of we. Because God is a subject partner of love, life, and lineage, he sought true sons and daughters who would live eternally with a complete and unbreakable standard. To achieve that, we first have to perfect our individual character through uniting our mind and body, and on that foundation, to build a vertical parent-child relationship with God. A vertical relationship by itself, however, is not sufficient to bring the word we into being. We also need to create a horizontal relationship in harmony with the vertical. To do this, man and woman must form a true husband-wife relationship through a blessed marriage, bear children, build a true family, and form a four-position foundation involving 3 generations. Only then will God use the word we with reference to a family unit. How then can we advance to such a position? God created all things from a position in which his mind and body were completely one. His creation was an act of total investment involving absolute love and absolute faith. There was no possibility that he would consider his own interest or situation. This was the fountainhead of love that seeks to give 100% and then still continues giving. This is true for God, and it is true for all our families as well. Parents who stand in the position of God have to invest themselves completely and absolutely with true love. In terms of the logic of origin, division, union, they give birth and rear children from the position of the origin, thus establishing a vertical axis for the concept of we. If the husband and wife who stand in the position of division from the origin become one with each other based on the true love, they will establish the horizontal axis. Then the children who are in a position of union will align themselves automatically with the vertical and horizontal axis and become one. They will establish a new axis reaching from front to back. There will be an original family that accomplishes this, substantiating the concept of we, that is, complete vertically, horizontally, and front to back. This is the reason the family is so important. It is the most valuable gift given to us from heaven. If the environment we call a family did not exist, how would we establish this absolute standard of I? If not for the family, we would never even dare think of a we that is complete vertically, horizontally, and front to back. The cradle of love, peace, and happiness is nothing other than this family. How then do we establish the true I? This is possible only through a life of true love for the sake of others. The person who denies him or herself completely to the point of selflessness and lives for the sake of the family, for the sake of the nations, for the sake of all humanity, and for the sake of God, will automatically establish the true I. We must never put ourselves forward arrogantly and use the word I in a casual manner. God has worked steeped in grief in the back alleys of history to push forward his providence restoration. His only desire has been to establish children who could speak of the true I. Anyone who knows this heart of God can never claim the word I for him or herself in a casual manner. When we establish God's original ideal for world peace and the ideal families for which God has been waiting for tens of thousands of years, we will have the starting point for the kingdom of heaven on earth. Beginning there, we will be able to resolve the grief of the pitiable God. I'd like to call upon everyone here to join with me. First, let us work to establish a true eye that can look at the sun without shame, look at the ocean with a clear conscience, and have nothing to hide before nature. Then let us establish the family to which God will refer as a part of his we. In this way, we must establish a relationship of true parents and children between God and ourselves. Furthermore, God, who is a true parent of humanity and the origin of love, life, and lineage, is the ancestor of humanity and the true king who reigns over all. God lost the positions of ancestor and king as a result of human ancestors' fall in the Garden of Eden. In accordance with the progress of the providence of restoration, I declare the return to the ocean, to the land, to the cosmos, and to the realm of the heart of the fourth Adam. Then on January 13, 2001, I performed the historic enthronement ceremony of the kingship of God. Adam's family, as the first human family, should have become the godly ancestors of humanity and set the foundation for the institution of the family. Originally, the king of the family eventually would have inherited the positions of king of the nation and king of the cosmos. Only in that way was humanity to have connected to the heavenly realm of the original ideal. We can institute the king of the nation because the age of indemnity is ending, and we are entering the age of settlement through the process of family registration. This will develop further into the kingship of the world. This is why, on the occasion of True Children's Day 2000, I declare that the parents of heaven and earth now reign as king of the family in the Unification Church. This means that we are now able to enter the age in which families that have been registered can enter a heavenly parent as our king. Thus, each blessed family must be aware of its responsibility to establish a tradition of humanity attending the King of heaven and earth. This is the reason that the age of the church has ended and the age of the family federation has begun. The entire universe is linked as one connected body centered on that one nucleus. Each one of our families must stand in the position of this nucleus, nurture the creation, and love all creatures that God created in love. By loving God's creation, which exists in His love, we can stand in the position of true owners. If you can feel that your family is like one body that constitutes a realm of true love before God, your family can stand as a cornerstone of the place of settlement where you can attend the King and the parents of heaven and earth. This is how you become a blessed family and inherit the realm of victory. Respected leaders, now is the time for humanity to voluntarily repudiate all pride, ignorance, selfishness, and hatred. Let us follow the laws of heaven and be humble before God. Ever since God called me at the tender age of 16, I have committed myself totally to the realization of world peace, which has been God's deepest wish. And this time, would like to set forth several crucial steps that are necessary for bringing peace to the world. First, live for the sake of others. A self-centered life not only causes discomfort, it also violates the laws of heaven. Living for the sake of others, on the other hand, is the way we can resemble God. Loving our family, our community, our nation, and the world is a way to inherit God's true love, and it is a way to live in accord with the fundamental order of the universe. Only through practicing true love can we become true individuals, true parents, true teachers, and true lords. Only then can we finally become the leaders who can bring about peace on earth. A life of living for the sake of others opens the gate to peace. In this sense, the path to peace ultimately must be based on Godism or head-wing thought. This is the teaching that can reconcile and embrace all sides in a conflict from the seed to the fruit by dealing with the starting point of conflict in the relationship between Cain and Abel. Flo, can we break the chain of hatred? How can we break the chain of hatred and violence that we perpetrate against one another? Returning hatred in response to hatred only leads to more hatred, terror, and destruction. This is certainly not the path to peace. We can touch, educate, and reconcile the conflicting parties only by true love. True love that places God in the center disregards national boundaries. Therefore, it is international. True love transcends the high walls dividing religions and races. Therefore, it is interreligious and interracial. True love, centered on God's ideal of living for the sake of others, can generate the power to touch a person's heart and spirit. Only by true love can the various reasons and causes of conflicts on earth be overcome, whether the confrontation is between right and left, front and rear, above and below, or inner and outer. Only by true love can we establish a world of eternal peace. Second, the family is a fundamental unit for building peaceful nations and ultimately a peaceful world. As I already mentioned, the root of conflict originated in the first family. Therefore, until the family of the true parents appears, it is impossible for us to enter the era of world peace. The international blessings that I promote worldwide are not the wedding ceremony of a particular religion. They are a movement to save all nations and the world. We teach youths to keep their purity before marriage, and when they reach adulthood, to marry with the blessing of God. However, as a condition to receive the marriage blessing, they first pledge to their spouse that they will maintain absolute trust and fidelity. Thus, the blessing is a holy movement to build true families and lift up each couple as the true parents who live according to the standard of true love. Families built upon such an ideal and such an education have no need to feel threatened by the AIDS virus. For them, preventing AIDS is easier than preventing a cold or flu. If we educate the youth of the world in this vision and practice it, we'll completely eliminate the AIDS epidemic and also eliminate the scourge of family breakdown. Furthermore, these families of true love will serve as a cornerstone for peaceful nations and a peaceful world. In particular, if individuals from enemy nations who have lived in discord throughout history come together in true love as in-laws, their reconciliation will bring nations and races together. It is a high wall to overcome. Nevertheless, here is the supreme formula for bringing true peace to the world. Bring together children from enemy families and nations for the exchange marriage blessing. These interreligious international families can build a realm of blessing, perfecting true families of true love that both heaven and earth desire. From that point, the world of eternal peace that God and all humankind have desired will begin. Third, interreligious reconciliation and cooperation is an essential condition for world peace. I have campaigned tirelessly for the interreligious harmony and dialogue. We have always devoted a far greater proportion of funding to that purpose than for the growth and development of the Unification Church. Do you think that practicing such sacrificial love with an unchanging heart is easy? By no means. However, we cannot expect world peace unless religious people reconcile and cooperate. World peace is the original idea of God. Therefore, religious leaders and believers need to be the guides who lead people to peace. If religions only emphasize narrow-minded denominationalism and fail to teach true love for God and the universe, we will never free humankind from the horrors of war. In the face of this global crisis, religious leaders have to practice true love, humbly following God's will, walking hand in hand beyond the perimeters of their own religion. The inner power of religion touches our hearts and can recreate us as citizens of peace. It can cultivate our ability to practice self-control from within, and it can overcome historical hatreds and resentments among us. This is a root from which true peace and stability arise. If religions demonstrate love for each other, cooperate with each other, and serve each other, putting the high ideal of peace ahead of their particular doctrines, rituals, and cultural backgrounds, the world will change dramatically. Fourth, I once again emphasize the proper role of the United Nations in realizing world peace. As a representative organization for world peace, the UN has made many contributions. Last year, I presented my proposals to solve the fundamental problems plaguing this world, given that its circumstances have changed and the complex situations in which nations find themselves today are unlike those at the time of the UN founding. One of these proposals was to establish a special body that would discuss and evaluate the religious, spiritual, and moral dimensions of world problems. The UN must serve the world and God's idea of creation effectively. To do so, it has to transcend the power of politics and national diplomacy, which reflect the motives of nations ruled by self-interest. Only then can it truly protect the human rights of all peoples and nations and build world peace. This is not limited to the United Nations. Maintaining order in the world and protecting public prosperity and peace will be impossible as long as political sovereignty operates on the principle of national self-interest and ignores and undermines moral and spiritual values. High-level leaders have to ground themselves spiritually and morally upon God's ideal and govern according to universal principles. No political power or earthly authority stands above God and the laws of heaven. Moreover, the UN has to listen to and embrace many of the views of the non-governmental organizations. This is the reason we established WANGO. I encourage all NGOs, while not losing your original founding spirit, to dialogue and cooperate with one another. I request that you continue to be of service to the world to be unselfish, and to stay free of corruption. Respected leaders, a person who only talks about world peace without practicing it is not a true leader. Given the current world situation, we cannot leisurely sit back and wait for the arrival of world peace. It is a time of urgency. Each of us, the ambassadors for peace, and everyone else, has to hold back nothing for the creation of world peace. Let us all take active roles as leaders in the movement for peace. I wish and hope that, centered on the peace embassies, all international organizations, including the United Nations, will participate actively in the movement for world peace. It is our historic quest. Let's be united in mind and heart. Let's become pioneers for world peace by first building ideal families of true love and living for the sake of others. May God's hand be upon you and bless you forever. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. This was True Father's speech in 2001, and as you can see, it was right after the 9/11 terrorist attacks in the US, and it was a world crisis at that time. And it's also very similar to today's situation when in the Middle East with the war in Iran, and also the war between Ukraine and Russia, and the tensions between China and Taiwan. All of these things happening right now, and it's very similar. And True Father's word is very, I think, very applicable to this time right now. And True Father emphasized the formula to world peace, and that is to have you have to have peace in yourself and in your family first before having world peace. And also he talked about the importance of the United Nations and upper body of the United Nations, the religious body in the United Nations. And that still hasn't happened now. And I think UPF is very important in this regard to push for religious leaders to work for world peace in this time. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Reverend Takaaki. I can just stop for you. Yep, thank you. Yeah, it's a very great message and very pertinent for today. The thing that stood out, I mean, all those points you mentioned, but the one that stood out for me was thinking about the true I. We need to give 100% and give more so that our children can be raised according to God's original will and desire that were lost from the very beginning. And the true I needs to have no shame, clean conscience, and true relationships, and that revolves around having humility and seeking true love, so that we create the true family through the blessing of true parents. There's so many points there in this message that Father gave, and for me, I was just focusing on how we become the true I. You really need to forget about seeking our own self-interest, but to seek true love and God's kingdom, and that permeates every aspect, from ourselves individually, our family, to the world, and as you said, the UN needs to focus, and the world was in shock, because this was just a month after the bombing of the Twin Towers, and it completely destroyed like the whole consciousness of the world, and America was left seeking how can we truly bring about a world of peace. The 2000 millennium was meant to begin the era of peace, but it began with a sharp, reality that the world still needs, our Heavenly Parent, and still needs, to work together. So we need to, focus on, realizing God's original family that was lost. And it will be restored and has been restored through our true parents. It just needs to be expanded through us. Yeah. Anyway, some of my thoughts this morning. Thank you very much, Reverend Takaaki. So thank you. Still a bit of time for anyone who'd like to make a comment. Please do. Yes, Jeff, go ahead.
Anyway, a bit controversial topic, but that father was talking about the trade towers, and that was horrific for America. And it's in the psyche of American people, probably because most Americans believe that Iran shouldn't have a bomb, because they feel with that kind of ideology behind them, they might just, those people that did that, they didn't care about dying. They thought that would be their glorious moment, So I guess in the psyche of Americans, because you wonder why they're doing so much against Iran to get a bomb, because they probably think that they could do the same thing with atomic bomb, I don't know, it just came into my mind, a bit radical thought, but we know the way to peace is not what's being done, we have to love our enemies and find ways to convince them, that we are God's children collectively, So that's our mission. But yeah, that was a really nice overall speech, really. So many things were in there as usual. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. It is time now to offer our unison prayer, so I'll just bring up the screen. Okay, let's pray together. Jew, Jew, Jew. Thank you again, Reverend Tagaki, for sharing this morning, and thank you everyone for attending. And I hope everyone has a great day, and see you all again tomorrow. So thank you. Bye-bye.